everyone. Greg here again with another video with Odoo and how to use it to transform your business, maybe change your life. In this video, we're going to take a look at Odoo Inheritance, which is a fundamental understanding. You're going to have to understand it clearly to make progress in becoming an Odoo developer. But before we get started, please go below, click like, click subscribe, and leave some comments, and that really helps the channel. It really helps me be able to make these videos. So inheritance basically allows us to extend existing models in Odoo and extend views. So in this video, we're going to look at the very basics of Odoo Inheritance and just give a couple of examples so that you can, hopefully for people that are confused at all, this video is going to help clear that up. So basically, there's two major kinds of inheritance that you need to understand. One is that we inherit from models, which means that we might have a customer model or what is called the res.partner model in Odoo, and we might inherit from that and create additional fields and different processes that override that particular model. We're never going to go into the Odoo source code and start changing it there. We're always going to create another completely separate file with a class in it that inherits from these models to extend them. And now the other inheritance that we use frequently in Odoo is the view inheritance. So in that case, we're not extending Python or inheriting Python models. In that case, we're inheriting XML files, and we're inheriting from them and extending them. And we're just going to look at two really simple cases. Now, I know if I don't say this, people will say, hey, there's more kinds of inheritance. Yes, there is. There's several different kinds of model inheritance that you can use. And we're not going to get into all that in this case. We're just going to look at the most common inheritance that you're going to use in 90% of your development when you're building out Odoo applications and extending models. So to get started, I'm going to refer to a video that I did a little bit back on a report, and basically I will link it up above, and so you can click on that and you'll see, but it's really simple. I have it right here, and it's basically just a simple model for an example vet application, which obviously this is not a vet application yet. It's just simply one model that defines an animal. And so what's missing here, obviously, is we don't have an owner for the animal. So we're going to really quickly jump in here and make a partner ID equals fields.many2one. So you're getting a little bonus here as well, is this Many2one is also a something that you're going to use very, very frequently within your early days of Odoo development. And that's, we're just creating a field here that's going to link to our res.partner model like this. And it's as simple as that this now can define the owner of our animal. And now if we run this now, we're going to do, and we'll see here now that we have the ability to select a partner record, or it could be a customer record if we had a filter on it. But it gives us that relationship to res.partner. And I'm doing that for a reason, because I want to show how now we would want to come in here to our sales, for example, and under our customers here, that we would like, you would expect to have inside of here in our customer, if we pulled up a customer here, in our vet app, we would want a list of the animals that go with this particular, customer that comes in, and they're gonna, possibly have more than one. And that's why we're using a Many2one, is because the customer could have many. So I'm going to create a customer here just so we, let's call Bob Sacramento and save. And so if we come back here to our vet app, we can assign, of course, one of these animals then to Bob, just like that. And so Ren is now owned by the partner, which we could obviously override to say customer. Bob Sacamano. And so what we want to do though is we wouldn't want to come into this view. Okay, so into this model right here under customer here. We want to, first of all, we need a field in the model to hold these animals. So right now the res.partner model doesn't have a reference back to our animals, and it's kind of a what you would say is it's there in a functional perspective in Postgres. Like the table is there, but in the ORM, in the way our models are currently designed, this res.partner here and all these fields in it have no reference to the animal table. So we can see the partner from the animal model, but we can't see the animals from the partner model. And so that's a clear distinction here too. And just something you have to understand about Odoo development is that we need the reciprocal side of this, or a one-to-many defined inside of here. So let's go ahead now and define that one-to-many using inheritance in the res.partner model. So we're going to bring back up this and we're going to create another class. We're going to call it vet app res partner. And so I'll use that a lot of time as the syntax to know that I'm inheriting from a built-in model in Odoo. I know that that is res.partner. And we don't want to name here. Instead, we want to use inherit like this equals and put in res.partner, just like that. Our next field. So so what I would typically do is, and what field we're going to have here is animal IDs. So I would usually use a plural here, IDs instead of ID, because it's a one-to-many. So we say fields dot one-to-many, like that. And in this case, we're going to have the model that we're connecting to. So we'd have vet app dot animal, just like you would expect. But the second field we're going to have here needs to be the field that it ties back to inside of here. So this is how it knows to join the animal IDs that are here over to here. And so this is all we need right now for the model inheritance. And this is going to give us a list of animals that go with this partner. So I'm going to restart this, and I'm going to watch my terminal, make sure I don't get any errors, which I'm not going to, because it's defined like it's supposed to. And we can always go into, before we change the view, and check this. So we want to make sure we have debug equals 1 up here after the question mark. So we're in our developer mode. We can come here into settings, come to technical, go to models. We're going to go to our animal model and see here the partner ID. I really didn't want to go to that one, but we can see that was the one we added earlier. And then of course we want to go to res.partner here to see that we've inherited from the main res.partner contact. But the way Odoo sees it, once the server starts up, it's all one model. So Odoo's not really seeing it when it's running as separate models. It combines them all together, and it really works off the database here. That's why you can use developer mode to build out your models, and you can use Odoo Studio in Enterprise Edition to build pretty much anything in models that you need to build. You don't have to use Python for that, largely because it builds everything into the database here. And so if we look, animal IDs right here, and we can see that there's our Many2one animal IDs just got defined, and just inserted it in here along with all these other fields. But the beauty of the Odoo framework should be obvious here. In literally 3 lines of code, which a lot of times you wouldn't even count in the class definition as a line of code, this is able to use the power of the framework to add that field, and we're able to use it. And so now the question becomes, how can we use view inheritance to see this field inside of our customer? So when we come to a customer now in this application, running Odoo, this Odoo instance, whenever we show that customer form, we want to be able to see a list of animals. And so this is the part of the video where we see view inheritance and how that works. So I will pull up our views that we're using for this app. And so we have really just some simple actions here. And we don't really even have any views. There's one up here that we could uncomment, but it's a list view, and I want to use the form view so we can eventually show these things in a like a notebook tab. But let's go ahead and see how we would do this. Now, like in traditional form, I would do a search here, find something in the source code that I can copy from, maybe something like this, copy it, and then paste it into here. Let me pull back up my views, then paste it into here so that I'm not starting from scratch. I want this syntax for me. So this is a basic like view inheritance little template, and I just grabbed it because it was simple, because it just really adds one field, and I can tell what this does is it's searching the view, and it's looking for a field named email, and after email, it's going to position this field. So that's what this view inheritance does, and I can tell it's inheriting from this view. Now, I'm going to tell you, first you want to understand model inheritance. Get that down first, make sure you understand that. And then expect to spend a little more time on view inheritance, because it incorporates a couple of extra things. And if you understand what those are, maybe it'll help you map it out in your brain. Number one is you need to know the reference of the view that you're going to inherit from, just like you need to know the name of the model that you're going to reference from. And I just threw it out there that this is res.partner. Well, there's a better way to know for sure, and that's we'll come up in here and we'll just see how that works. And you probably already know this. Most it's that developer mode is very powerful, but as long as we're in developer mode with this debug equals 1, we can mouse over these fields, and it's going to show right there the object. You see under there it says the field name that we have, and then it shows the object. So I know that this is the res.partner model, and that's how I can always go to any form in Odoo and know what model I need to inherit from if I want to add a field to that model. Now, on the view side, we would come up here in the same way to this little debug thing and look, and we want to find out what the ID of this form is. So I click this edit view form, and I get this external ID here, and I know now that this is what I need to inherit from in order to extend this view with view inheritance. And I can also see up here at the top that this is another way that you can see what the model is. So I can copy this, like so, and come back to my code here and paste this in over the top. Now we want to give this a better name here, so we'll call this view. I like to probably use our name, bet app view res partner. So we know that this is the view for res partner form. Probably wouldn't be bad. So we can name this what we want. And then we have a model here. Obviously we don't want this to be the model we're extending. We're extending res.partner. So we just have to make sure we change these things out. And this is going to stay the same, obviously. Now this is the most important thing and what we're really going to do in this video, since it is getting a little long. We want to put these animals in somewhere, and for now, to make it simple, we're going to just drop it in here after the tags so we can get it working. We're going to understand this view inheritance. We're going to get this done and get this working, and then maybe if I get a comment down in the video down below and enough likes and subscribes, then I'll do another video on how to put these animals into their own page on the notebook. But I'm going to save that. Instead, we're going to show kind of incremental development and how I really would do this if I was just starting out and I just want to make one change at a time, make sure I got that down. So notice here that we have the field name category underscore ID. So tags, this field for tags is actually named category underscore ID. That means I can come back up here and go category underscore ID. And what's going to happen is this XPath is going to search through the form document until it finds a field with the attribute name equaling category ID. And when it finds that, then it's saying here anything that's in between these two XPath tags is going to go after that. So we don't want this to be chatter position. We want this to be animals underscore ID. Actually, it should be animal underscore IDs. And we don't want this to be read only necessarily. We can just take that off. And one of the things to point out here, just so everyone knows, you want to have your flags here to update your application and then to update the database. That's what these are doing. Otherwise, you're going in, and I've done it before, even in some of my videos here, and keep having to click, update module, update module, update module through the interface. It's a real big waste of time when you're building. So let's bring back up. See, I accidentally clicked away there here, and we're going to shift refresh, and with a little bit of luck, you're going to see that we got animal here, and then we can see Ren because we assigned Ren as the animal for Bob. So that's the basics. That gives you pretty much the building blocks you need to extend any model in Odoo on any form and do the model inheritance first. And then once you get that model inheritance, then you jump over and you do the view inheritance. Remember, view inheritance, a little trickier. You got to look up the external ID inside of there for sure and get that. You also have to know where to position it. So there's no positioning in the models. So inside of here, you don't have to worry about where you're going to position it inside the field inside the model. It's just the field. So that's just inherently more complicated in view inheritance because you're always going to have some place inside the view you need to find where you're going to insert things. And that's why it's going to take different syntax here to have, and maybe that's what I would encourage you to do on your own. And again, leave me a comment if you want me to do a video on it. But you're going to change this X expression to find the notebook page that you wish, the name of it, and then position after it, for example, a page, and then put the list inside of a page. So you can pretty much modify anything on a form. You can change attributes. You can do a lot of things. But you're going to have to master this XPath and finding the field and finding the place in the form. And you're going to find the first couple of dozen times you do that, you're going to be feeling around a little bit to get the exact syntax you need here. And it might not always be the name of something. It could be the ID of something or the class of something. Again, pro tip, always the pro tip, look at the Odoo source code. Search this right here inside the Odoo source code, like so, and you're going to get all kinds of examples of XPaths. Like for this one example that's looking deep into the document to look for a search tag, and inside that there's a group tag, inside that there's a filter tag named status, and then after that it's going to put this field. So using the source code and looking through these things, you're going to see some complicated XPath expressions where it's modifying these forms. And by looking at this code and getting used to reviewing it, you'll get better a lot faster. And this is how you find your solutions to complicated XPaths. So here's a really good example of one that's kind of complex, where it's, I would have to think about what exactly this is doing, looking for a T tag, and then when it finds this T tag, again, I showed you how it's always the name. This is searching templates, so this is searching the website of thing using the same inheritance concept. But then once it finds this tag with name this, then it looks inside of there for a div tag that has a class with this, and then position inside, meaning it's going to stuff everything here inside of that tag. So there's a lot of complexity to this XPath stuff and the view inheritance, but the source code will help you, I think, get through the things you're trying to do when you're struggling to figure out the syntax yourself. So with that said, I'm going to end this video. Please do click like, subscribe, and do all those things. And again, if you're really serious about Odoo development and want to become like a real master at this stuff, check out some of my full courses where I have workshops and I give developer coaching and help you break through the problems you'll inevitably face just trying to do this stuff through video tutorials. So thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to your comments.